Welcome to the podcast, Gary. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm a bit sweaty, but
I think we all are, to be fair.
yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, I'm just knackered. I'm just constantly creating content and being a dad. I'm good. Yeah, so.
That's it. So I want to start by asking you a question which I ask all my guests, and it is, what is the earliest memory of alcohol for you?
Wow. Do you know what? I actually Googled this recently. The first ever national lottery draw was in 1995, I think, in November. And I vividly remember drinking a can of like German lager from Lidl in the lounge with my mum and dad. And I remember it because it was like, I mean, you're a bit younger, but it was Mr. Blobby. Do you remember Mr.
Yeah,
Blobby?
yeah.
Yeah, it was Mr. Blobby. And I remember drinking it on this comfy chair at my mum's house and feeling it, thinking, wow, this is mega.
Yeah.
I felt woozy and weird in my head. And I remember vividly being gutted that that was going to end when I went to bed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was November. I'd have been 14, 15.
I was born 1995. So.
Really?
Yeah.
So I was getting pissed while
I was being
your
born.
mum was popping you out.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, I remember that vividly. Yeah.
So what was your relationship like growing up with alcohol in terms of, you said, so you're sort of 14 at that age.
Yeah.
What about the people around you, sort of friends, family?
I mean, all of my mates. I was in that group of schoolmates where we all wanted to be in a band. We all wanted to be professional footballers. So therefore, those kind of lads typically end up being, weekend offenders, don't they?
Yeah.
I would say. I don't know if you agree. And so, yeah, like we were go down to the park drinkers. I don't know if that still happens nowadays, but we went down to the park and drank cider and 2020, strawberry and kiwi 2020.
Yeah.
Until we were sick, until we blacked out, until we were lying on the grass, face down. And my dad and I used to go to the pub and watch United because at that time United were winning everything. And yeah, like early on, surrounded by it, excited by it, just the allure was massive straight away, really.
Yeah, so you said, yeah, you were sort of 15, that sort of teenage age, and that's definitely my memory of alcohol. I think the first time I ever got pissed, we waited outside a corner shop, asked someone to buy me some beers, and then I got sick all over myself, pissed myself, and then I was like, right, I need to get picked up by my parents.
Yeah, with like jeans soaking wet.
Yeah. And that was so I think that is still the case, and that's quite a common introduction to alcohol. I think I've had sort of 20 people on the podcast, or something around that number, and I think out of like 19 of us have all said that was their earliest memory of alcohol.
That's the British introduction to it.
Yes.
Because I've lived in 4 or 5 countries and it's not like that everywhere else. But that is the British introduction. It's like, get to the park Friday night and get arsehole.
So what was your journey and your relationship with alcohol like growing up then? So you're 15, you then get to that age where you're obviously 18 and legally you're allowed to drink. You're probably going to the pub way before then anyway.
Oh yeah, definitely. Went to the Roebuck. If you're the former landlord of the Roebuck near where I grew up, you're in trouble, man. I mean, I just loved it immediately. I knew, I've said this in a couple of podcasts lately, but I knew I was in trouble by about 17.
Really, yeah.
I just knew I drank differently to people. I knew that they were doing it to get pissed, to have a bit of confidence, to try and go and pull, Vicky Smith on the other side of the party, and probably wouldn't have entertained the idea of drinking the next day on a hangover. But I remember being hungover as a teenager in my 17, 18, and just wanting to drink again. I didn't care. I was like, I need to get my hands on it. So I was bonkers about it from the off.
From day one.
Yeah. I was desperate for the next session. I was desperate for it to be Friday night. It was relentless from a young age. And I went to university the week of my 19th birthday, I think it was. And that was me done, man. That was game over.
So you spoke a little bit off air about playing in bands and music. I mean, how did that play a part in your drinking career, do you think? I
mean, I was already a full-blown alcoholic, I would say, by the time I joined my first band, proper band, about the age of 25. I finished uni in 2003, moved to London straight away with a girlfriend that I had, and we broke up quite quickly. I was like, right, what do I do? Do I stay in London? I've got a job. All I need to do is get a room, in a shared house. And I did that, and I'd been in a band at school with my mates, just like crap. But I was cocky, I had the mouth, I had a decent voice, and I had loads nice coats. And I was like, I'm going to go to London, stay in London, and I'm going to be Liam Gallagher. And I'm not joking. You asked me about my teenage years. I was desperate to be a rock and roll star, and I knew that went with drugs and alcohol.
Right,
Drugs
yeah.
I hadn't really got into by then at all, really. But I knew that persona that I wanted to be came with alcohol, and I was well happy to oblige. But when I finally got in the first band I was in, they were all a bit older than me, and they were a bit more mature, but I was still wild, and I was a liability. You know, I got the living shit beaten out of me one night after a gig because of what I said on stage. So the whole band lifestyle suited me perfectly, really.
Yeah, it kind of played into that persona that you'd made for yourself already.
Yeah, that I'd literally created for myself from the age of 15.
Yeah.
You know, definitely maybe Oasis's debut album came out when I was 14, I think. And I just went on a mission for 19 years until I got sober. I was just getting smashed. And wanting to be that, you know, that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah. So you also touched on the fact that you've lived in various different countries. So if you take me through your story yourself, and you said, so was it 19 years you said before you got sober? So you're 25. So there's a massive period between obviously that band lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
and then, you know, I know your story about where you've been and what you've done.
Yeah.
But for the people who don't know, take us through that journey.
From the age of
the age of being in that band, you've gone out of uni.
Yeah, so I left uni, joined the band, lived in South London, not far from here actually, and just worked to feed my addiction basically, and didn't like my job, had no interest in it, had no deep, profound connection to it at all. All it was a paycheck, so I could pay my rent and have a roof over my head, and whatever was left was going on drink, and all the other things that come when you're pissed up. You know what I mean? And I just got. It was like a runaway train. I couldn't stop. I didn't want to stop in my mid-20s. I was insatiable for it, and I mean, really, my 20s were just like dark, miserable. Dark alcoholism. It was awful. And what was the question? To get up to...
Yeah, so you sort of talking about just take us through your journey to... Obviously, you said you moved countries, didn't you? You moved about...
Well, I did German at university, so my third year at uni, I lived in Hamburg in Germany, and another great opportunity. You know, I just pissed it up a wall, really. I'd arrived at uni, I'd been kicked off my course, which I hadn't told my parents, and they reinstated me after a bit of a grovelling session. But because, again, in my first 2 years at uni, I'd just been on the piss so much that I couldn't get a grip of any, you know, real life. And so Germany, when I was 21, wasted it, ruined it, moved back to England to finish uni, and then I moved to Spain when I was 31, sorry. And I got sober at 33. But my first 18 months in Spain was just... I was like, oh, I'll move to another country, new start, something, you know, give myself a bit of breathing space, get away from the places and the people. And got to Spain, I was like, oh, a euro 20, a beer. And Spain put a fucking nail in my coffin, man. It was just carnage for about 18 months, and then I quit.
So yeah, so with the Spain move, essentially, was that similar to, because in recovery you have the saying of like a geographical, isn't it, where you think like, well, everyone else is the problem, you know, it's nothing to do with me. I think if I'm out of London or out of this band scenario, was there a little bit of that? Or
yeah, a little bit. I thought that if I went and started a new career, which would be teaching, which happened in the end, I did become a teacher and I loved it and I was good at it, but I thought a fresh start I just thought it was the place, or it was the work or the job or my mates, you know, but it was me, obviously. Deep down I knew it was me, but I couldn't admit it to myself and I couldn't accept it. So when I finally got sober in Spain, I then moved to Hungary for a while. And yeah, sobriety just changed everything for me, really. It was just mind-blowingly good.
Yeah, what have been some of the sort of changes that you've noticed in yourself? Obviously, you've got 10 years of sobriety, which is fucking amazing.
Go me.
And yeah, you should be saying go me, because it's unbelievable.
I'm really fucking proud of it, to be honest. Like, I didn't think it would be at all possible when I was in my 20s. I kind of had just resigned myself to the fact that this is my lot. You know what I mean? I won't be able to beat this. It's all I've known. I drank Monday morning, I drank Sunday night, I drank Tuesday afternoon, I drank Thursday morning. You know, I was just constant. It wasn't even the drinking half the time. It was just, you might relate to this, just having it in my hand.
Definitely, yeah.
Getting to the pub and going, cold glass. Don't need to drink it yet.
Yeah,
It's just that relief that it's there. I'm in a place that provides it, and I'm not going anywhere for 6 hours. And yeah, I'm well proud of it, and it's been brutal. Like the first 3 or 4 years was fucking hard because you got to I mean, how long have you been
So
sober?
I'm coming up to 20 months. So
20 months. Okay,
yeah.
Same as my mate Craig, who I do a podcast with. He's 20 months exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're still probably in the head fuck
Yeah.
period, are you? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think for me, it was 9 months of feeling like, why the fuck is everybody else seem to be reaping the benefits of this sobriety? Why is everyone on Instagram saying how amazing it is when I feel like a fucking prick? Everyone's at home, everyone's out, sorry, I'm at home. I feel boring. I don't feel a part of it.
Yeah.
I've lost a lot of friends. You know, I've come out the other side of that now, but I still am. Now it's weird. I got to the year mark and I thought, you know, you've done a year. That's great. But the second year, I've found that I've actually started to rediscover myself a bit more, and I'm going through this mindfuck period of like, am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing more of this? I'm in a job I don't like. Should I be doing that? And it's thoughts I probably wouldn't have if I wasn't sober. I think
if you were still drinking and taking drugs, you'd probably not have any kind of profound thought, really.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're anything like me, I would have my like Monday morning mental turmoil. Not go to work. The Tuesday convincer. Don't go to work on a Tuesday to convince your boss you were really ill on a Monday. You know, that bullshit. And that's when I would do the most of my thinking. Self-loathing, I should probably say it like that. But again, I didn't really have time to think. I was just too busy drinking. The nervous system's fucked.
Yeah.
If you're drinking and taking drugs like that. Drugs were not always, you know, I was a recreational drug user, a weekend party guy. But like my drinking was daily. But I remember the second year, you're starting to go, oh, wow.
Yeah.
This could stick, you know. But the first year, if you're anything like me, was just hanging on for dear life. Because I've gone 15 years drinking every single day to suddenly, like say, not losing mates, but deciding who I needed to spend my time with, if anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if did you lose mates because you pulled yourself away or because they pushed you away?
There's a combination of the two, to be honest. And I think, you know, you have that initial period where you think, right, for my own sake, I'm probably going to self-isolate a little bit. I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I want to put that sobriety at risk.
Yeah.
But I think over time you realise that eventually you have to go into those situations because life goes on, you know, like alcohol ain't going anywhere, is it? It's a societal thing that is ingrained into our culture. And I don't think it's never gonna disappear. And not everyone's an alcoholic. Like, that's what I had to realise. I thought everyone fucking, you know, who's drinking has got a problem. No, they haven't actually. It was me.
Yeah, hard relate. I used to just assume that because some of my mates would come to the pub with me on a Sunday at 11 a.m. or even 9 a.m. at Wetherspoons, that, oh, well, that's normal then. If there's 3 of us, I'm not that bad. But,
yeah,
you know, come on, get real, man. I think you have to explore the idea of solitude because you've got a lot of catching up to do mentally when you get sober. You've been ignoring or pushing away problems or trauma that may have, you know, triggered the drinking, and you've got to do some deep analysis of yourself. And if you don't, you won't. You know, on Instagram, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm 7 weeks sober and I feel glorious." It's like, really? Do you?
Yeah.
Don't fucking lie to us. Like anyone that's been on it hard for a prolonged period of time doesn't feel great after 7 weeks.
No, I think it's the opposite. To be honest,
the first 4 or 5 months were like, I didn't know if I was coming or going every day. You know.
What were the challenges you faced? I think it'd be interesting to. You're actually the most longest sober person ever been on the podcast in terms of longevity of sobriety. Right. So it's interesting to try and take a bit of your knowledge, especially someone who's gone through all of those periods, and I know sobriety is different for every person, right? But there is a lot of similarities in everyone's journey, I think, and I think everyone goes through the same emotions just at different times.
I'd agree with that. I think everyone's journey is unique, and everyone's alcoholism is unique to themselves. But my challenge is it's quite hard to remember, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's a long time ago. At the beginning, I got sober in Spain, and I wasn't working the month I got sober. My contract was due to start at the end of May, and I got sober in the middle of April. So I had 6 weeks to get my head straight before I went back into a classroom because I was teaching. And the challenges were my parents weren't there. My ex-girlfriend and I had split up, obviously, because she's my ex. And she fucked off back to England. I'd moved city in January, and I'd gone to this new city with one mate, and I'd just rinsed it for 4 months, gone off a cliff, absolute carnage. And that mate that I'd gone with was done with me, fucking sick of me. So I was basically in the south of Spain with no partner, no mates, and no family. And it worked for me. I'm an only child. I love being on my own. I like sitting and ruminating and staring at a wall. And I had a lot of time to do that. So the solitude and the transience of my life at that time really suited me. I wouldn't recommend it. I didn't reach out to any. I went to AA for a short period of time. I found an English-speaking AA on the street parallel to mine in Seville, where I was living, and that just gave me some breathing space. I was like, oh, I'm not the only cunt, you know.
Yeah.
That's how I felt, and it was really good for me. And I went to AA for about 3 months, but the rest of it was just a solo, head down.
Well, you said there you wouldn't recommend it. Well, why would you not recommend that? What would be the reasons for that?
I mean, anything in life is easier with people around, isn't it?
Yeah.
Support whether you're grieving or you're in recovery or you've just lost, split up with someone. You need people around you. You need a societal hug, I think, in any part of in any element of your life that's negative. And positive, no, it's nicer to share joyous moments with people than doing it on your own. But it was I never had an outlet really. I just had to. Everything was internalized with me. I was moving city every 9 months, 6 months, sometimes every 6 months, and the solitude started to do me in after a while. But I'd already built up that resilience. I was like, whoa, I got sober on my own abroad.
Yeah, which is crazy.
It's mad, and I'd work. I loved my job. I was teaching for a private university, teaching 23-year-old Spanish kids. I call them kids, they're not, but you know what I mean, comparatively. And I loved my job, and I was really good at it. But then after that, I was going home, YouTube, shut the door. I was just stayed in my room for 2 years, almost, really. And at the weekends, I'd venture out and go walking, and I'd explore nature as a way to just clear my mind. But it was very, very, very solitary, really.
So you did that for a 2 year period. I mean, I relate to that. Not 2 years, but I'd say the first 9 months of my sobriety, I was kind of locked myself away. Not to the same degree that you're talking about, but didn't want to accept that other sober people are nice and cool. I still was in the mentality of it's a problem that I'm sober. Even though it was a bigger problem that I was drinking and taking drugs, I felt weird saying I was sober because I didn't feel like I'd almost earned the right to say it, for one. And I also still judged people who were sober, being brutally honest. I still thought, you're a bit weird, aren't you? Which is mad because actually I was a bit fucking weird when I was doing gear at 9 o'clock in the morning. But I still had that thing that was ingrained in my brain. I don't know if that's a societal thing. I work in construction, around a load of blokes who take the piss out of anyone for fucking not drinking.
Of course.
So I think, what was the moment then? Because you said it was 2 years, and then obviously you must have started to realise that, you can't do that anymore, or maybe you could have, but it ain't going to be very fun.
I found my in back into being sociable was through a classroom. So my work was teaching students on a 1 week immersion course. So every week you get a new group of students and you teach them till Friday, then they'd fuck off back to their cities. And because I loved it, and because it was a really good way to express myself, I just built my confidence, because my confidence was shattered. I didn't think, you probably relate to this, I didn't think I could be cool, funny, sociable, any of it without drink. And I just kind of retreated into myself. But then the classroom kind of drew that fun, gregarious part of my personality back out. And I started to like walk into a classroom with my chest out. And because I was a good teacher, like I took it seriously. I dedicated loads of time, private time to it to get better. And the classroom was my Wembley. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then in time, slowly dipped my toe back into socializing. But I'd lost loads of weight. Started to, I'd grown my hair out.
Yeah.
Spanish air is great for my hair. It's fucking shit here. And I just started to look myself in the mirror and like who the person I was inside, and also just like the look of myself. And then I started to like explore, I can buy clothes again because I'm not a fat prick, and it took a long time, 2 years. And I think it was when I moved to Barcelona, because my life was so chopped up into sections in my 30s. I can remember how I felt rocking up to every different city in Spain. And when I got to Barcelona, I just felt like I had my swagger back. Yeah. So it was about 2.5 years. And in Barcelona, you can't not be social in Barcelona. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's like the best city going. And I had a local girlfriend, and introduced me to all her friends who were like an international mix, and they were like, "Oh, you don't drink?" Like, what? But it was all right because they're not like pounding beers from 6 p.m. until 3 a.m. like we do. Spanish people go out at 11 o'clock at night, have 3 Bacardis, and they're like, "Yay, okay, bed now." It's just not the same. So it was probably good that I was in a place like that. By then I felt mega, to be honest.
Did you
done a lot of like cleansing of all the shit that I'd held on to for
when
years.
You say that, how did you cleanse a lot of that shit out of your body? Because there's everybody, we spoke about this, everybody says do your ice bath, meditate, write a list of how you feel, and it'll be all right. So obviously I know, and probably a lot of people listening know there's more to it than that. But what sort of things did you do to start cleansing some of the shit? Especially, you said, 15 years of
18 to 33 proper hard drinking, 15 years cleansed in 2. How did I do it? So I decided to go to AA after this catastrophically bad weekend that I had in Granada in Spain. And I knew something was different that time. So I went to AA, reached out, had a community, had my own people, who weren't going to judge me. That was a great start. Came clean to my parents, which helped. Fucking idiot, man. You should have just told them 10 years ago. They're my mum and dad,
they're going to love you regardless.
Love me more than anyone. They'd have just gone, oh, well, that's not great. Right, let's rally around you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So stupid. Reached out to them, told them that I'd been like 6 weeks sober. But I didn't even frame it like that. I just said, I've not had a drink for 6 weeks. It's a different thing to say that.
There is,
the S word is like, oh, you're admitting you've got a problem. Whereas
it's a stigma, isn't it?
Yeah. Whereas just not drinking for 5 weeks, it's like, oh, you're taking a deeper interest in your health.
Yeah.
But there's an older lady, Kathy, at my AA. Now imagine, right, you're in like the deepest part of Andalusia in Spain, where it's all like flamenco and rah 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 rah, and the English-speaking AA next to my street was just full of Scottish people.
Yeah.
And I was born in Paisley near Glasgow. My parents are Scottish. I'm Scottish. I don't sound it, but I am. I'll be supporting Scotland in the Euros, not England. Well, I'll support England a little bit, but and this Kathy lady said to me, right, when you go home today, meditate. I was like, fuck off, I ain't meditating, I ain't no pussy. Do you know what I mean? That was the mentality I had. She was like, shut up, you arsehole. She didn't quite frame it like that, but go home and meditate, clear your mind. And I went home and I downloaded this very basic app because it was 2014, and I got into meditating, and I got the big book from AA. Have you done it? You've not done it yet?
No. So I've actually, that's another topic that I think I have. The more time I'm sober, the more I'm interested in AA, because what I've realised is I'm working a program, it's just not AA. It's my own program, which I've created, and they're the same habits and all of the same values which I have, when I speak to people who've gone through AA, it's all about the same thing: acts of service. You know, finding gratitude in the small things, and it's like I'm doing the same thing, but I'm just not doing a 12-step program that I go to every night or every Wednesday or whatever it is. I just do a podcast, once a week and talk to a load of people on Instagram.
Yeah. It doesn't matter, does it? It's
Yeah.
It's your own cleanse. It's your own method. You've got to find your own way. Everyone's different, and there's no set rigorous way to do it. I got taken to church. I don't even know. Like, someone asked me on a podcast recently about step 6. I was like, I don't know what step 6 is. I don't know. Is it step 6 moving to Barcelona? I don't fucking know. And AA was good for me as a stabilizer at the beginning, just to have some people, because it was, like, as I said, it was far away from everyone else. But I chose nature, gratitude, meditation, walking, physical movement, and that just built up enough momentum for me to go, right, that's it. I'm not going back. And every single one day at a time, baby. Like, that's
it has
to be like you're clinging on for dear life. People go, oh no, you need a plan. And I'd followed the big book structure about writing down people that I'd annoyed, and that was very cleansing. But these are just like oldest time shit. If you spoke to Marcus Aurelius, he'd be like, oh, you've got a drinking problem. Just be more grateful and, go for a walk, dickhead. It's not that simple, but
it is, though.
But it doesn't have to be as complicated as you think, because if you're drinking and caning it all the time, you can't think straight. So you don't think that sobriety is an option. You don't think you've got the strength to stick with it. You don't think you've got this reserve of willpower and resilience. You just don't think that's possible. Like with sobriety, you get it's right in your face, isn't it?
Yeah, I think one thing you just made me think of something there, which is like, for someone who's going through it and they can't figure it out, it's like, when you're fucking busy and you go on a holiday, it's like you then have an opportunity to look at your life from the lens of somewhere in a relaxed space, and you go, fucking hell, that's not healthy. When you stop drinking and you look at your drinking habits, you all of a sudden go, oh, fuck me. Actually, I didn't have the mental clarity to realise what I was doing was not good for me.
Mate, since I started my Instagram account, I had no idea that it was a type B carcinogen or whatever it was, that causes 7 types of cancer. I didn't think about anything. I just thought about getting smashed.
Yeah.
And then when life slows down, you realise what you've put yourself through.
Yeah, no.
No, it's like, how did you function? I mean, I've got a 3-year-old daughter who comes into our bed at about 2 o'clock every night, every morning, and ruins the remaining hours of sleep, because she's kicking and she's an extra body. I'm tall, my partner's tall. So, and I'm wrecked. So how on earth, taking drugs every weekend and drinking every day, am I supposed to evaluate my life?
You can't.
It's impossible. It's impossible. So I think people that listen to your podcast, our accounts on Instagram, you've got to realise you are way stronger than you think. But it's just the drink that's holding you back. It's not you. Once you get the drink out the window, you just start to see things a lot more clearly. It's a ride. It's a fucking ride.
I think you spoke about it as well, about resilience and that building that resilience. So could we wanted to talk a little bit about socialising? So you said, obviously, you ease yourself back in socialising. A lot of people ask as well, they see people on Instagram, for example, going to events sober and posting about how much fun they had. And I remember a guy called Shane, who's been on this podcast, one of my good friends now. He said, it will come, just give it time, it will come. And I was like, nah, fucking, there's no way I can sit around people drinking. But you do build that resilience. I mean, what's your experience with that? Obviously, you must have gone to a lot of social occasions over the years that you're first apprehensive about. And what did you do to build up that confidence and resilience?
I mean, I'm a confident person. I love myself.
I couldn't tell.
I said the other day, if I was chocolate, I'd eat myself, and I would. But I think that's healthy. I like who I am. I like the person I am, the personality I've got. But how did I ease myself back in? I didn't have much of a choice when it started. When it came to the point where I had to socialise, I'd moved to Barcelona. I'd acquired a girlfriend from Barcelona, and she just started taking me to events, and I didn't like half of mates. I thought they were knobheads.
Yeah.
So I'd like cling on to a couple of people, and I was awkward for a while, you know, out and about. I didn't know how to dance. I still don't know how to dance.
You give it a go though now, don't you?
Give it a go. You look like a knobhead, man. Dancing's for knobheads. And I don't know if I'm making much sense here, but it's that long ago. But it was hard at the beginning, really hard. It was hard to hold court, and that's what I like doing.
Yeah.
You know, I like to be, not in a wankery way, but I like to. I'm a teacher. I was a singer. You know, that's my.
You want to be almost front and center.
Yeah, and I'm happy to admit that. And I found holding court really hard. Just I like to have a room in the palm of my hand.
Yeah.
And I can do that sober now, but I couldn't at the beginning. But you know, what's the alternative?
Yeah, sit in your room.
Sit in your room or start drinking again and ruin your life. So for me, it was a non-negotiable. It was just I'm gonna have to like grin and bear it for a while.
Yeah, I think that is a fair comment, isn't it? I think you do realise, like I said earlier, life goes on outside of what's going on in your head and your world, and also a lot of people don't really care. You might get the occasional question of like, why are you not drinking? But a lot of people are too caught up in their own shit to actually worry about you not drinking.
No one cares, man.
Yeah.
How much time do you spend in a 24-hour period thinking about yourself?
Yeah.
Most of it.
All of it, pretty much.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah, of course, we're all self-centered and self-important to a degree. And I think that's really important if you're trying to get sober. No one cares. No one gives a fuck, man. Everyone's too worried about their own shit and their own family and their own career prospects. No one cares about your drinking life. The only person that does, maybe your parents, your closest mates, your missus, or whatever. No one gives a shit.
No.
And it's really healthy to remember that while you're reinventing yourself, because that became an obsession for me. I think it helped that I would move in cities. I could reinvent myself. I could rock up to a city and go, I'm going to be, I'm going to be, I said recently, what did I say? I'm going to be philosophical Gary in this city.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to be wild, nature-loving Gary in this city. You know, so everywhere I went, I was like, I'm going to add a new dimension of sober personality to myself. And here we are 10 years later, and I don't even, I talk about alcohol every day on social media, but when I'm not doing it, I don't think about alcohol ever.
Yeah.
You know, for someone that drank so much, it doesn't even enter my head. Until I started my Instagram account, I hadn't thought about sobriety for 3 or 4 years.
I was going to ask that. Is that a thing of obviously now you're speaking about it a lot. You're doing podcasts. You got your own podcast. You got your Sober and Sound Instagram account.
Mm-hmm.
But does it become a new normal eventually?
Yeah. The first few years, you have to do the first few years so you can get that new normal.
Yeah.
And like you'll get there 20 months in, give it another year and you won't even think about it. I honestly think that's how you'll feel.
Yeah.
It's too much life to live. There's too many things that you've missed out on to catch up on, to be worrying about counting how many years sober you are. You know, I counted this year because it was 10 years. It's like a decade of sobriety. It's a big deal. But I don't, on year 7, I didn't get to the 15th of April and go, I'm 7 years sober today. I probably got to the 28th of April and thought, oh, fuck me, I was 7 years sober a fortnight ago. You know, that's how it,
that's how it goes.
Point it got to. It's not like that now because obviously I'm talking about it every day. But only to help people.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not like doing this to compartmentalize certain aspects of my former drinking life and deal with things that are hanging around in my head. I don't give a fuck. Ages ago. I'm not bothered.
Yeah, you dealt with it anyway.
Yeah. And it does come. So, and you were, well, so you were what, 27, 8 when you stopped drinking?
Yeah, 28 I think it was, yeah.
Well, by the time you're my age, you'll be 15 years sober. It won't even register,
you don't even think about it.
Nah, fuck, honestly.
But you touched on it there. So obviously you've started, Sober and Sound and the Sober Stretch podcast in order to help other people. So what's the goal with what you're doing at the moment?
I know deep in my heart that I've got a bit of sugar. Like I know I can present my ideas about sobriety in a way that people are buying into. I know I'm honest as the day is long. I'm blunt as fuck.
Yeah.
People are digging it, and I'm surprised people are digging it as much as they are, and the messages I'm getting. But my goal, it was to begin with when I started it. It was kind of for selfish reasons, really. So let's go back last year. I was talking to my partner, who I was with when I moved to Spain, and my drinking caused our relationship to end.
Right.
She moved back to England, and the day I decided I wanted to get really sober, and it stuck, I rang her, and I'd treated it like shit the previous year, and she was the one really that helped me get through the first month. And then during COVID, she reached out to me. I came back from Spain. We made a human being,
Yeah.
and the rest is history. And fuck me, what were we saying?
About why you started sober.
Yeah, we were in the kitchen one night. I was like, I like my job, but on a grander level, I want to leave a legacy. I want to impact people's lives. I want to, the kind of Jordan Peterson vibe. A lot of people have got negative things to say about him, but in terms of like fixing up your life, he's the man. Like carrying the biggest burden you can, carrying the biggest responsibility, the biggest load, in order to grow yourself and to help others. I was like, what shall I do? Shall I do it relating to teaching? And she kept going on about it. She's like, no, actually, I've never met anyone that knows how to get sober like you have. Like, you did it in a weird way. You did it in a brutal solo way. It's got to be that. If you want to leave a legacy for your kids to look back on and go, wow, my dad changed people's lives, it's got to be that. So in November, I started piecing it all together and got the old Excel spreadsheets out and like, and here we are. And yeah, it needs to be. It's purpose driven, and I think when you get sober, that's what your life becomes about, that, doesn't it? Purpose and meaning and responsibility, because you want to make amends. I certainly did. I mean, I was out going ruining people's lives every day, but I felt like I was.
Yeah,
I felt like I was letting my mum down and pissing my mates off and treating girls like shit.
It's the little micro things you're doing each day though that like stabbing away at. That's fucking another stab in someone's back. You've done that. You let this person down. You let that person
lying
down.
about money and
like, can I borrow this money again? And
God,
I'll give it to you. When I get paid, and then you get paid and you got no money again. And
yeah, because it's payday loans and gear.
Yeah.
It's the reality, isn't it? It's depressing. And I wanted to make up for a lot of what I perceive to be scumbag behaviour. And most of my scumbag behaviour came through an addiction. It's not an excuse, but it's a reason. And yeah, my vision now is to be someone that got thousands of people sober, and that would be amazing. Really.
Yeah, well, you're on the right track. I mean,
I'm enjoying it, man. It's great.
Yeah, I think your honest approach to it sort of shines through, doesn't it? Because there is an element of our people doing that for the right reasons. But I think what you're doing, it's quite clear that obviously you're doing it because you want to help people, and obviously you've got a wealth of experience in that field.
Yeah, do you know what? Well, thank you for saying that. I think since I became a dad, I realised that I needed to leave a mark on the world for my kids to look at, but also, I don't know, I just don't want my children to think I was just a dude.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
What's it been like, being sober and being a parent? Do you think you've been able to be a parent previous Gary?
Not a chance, mate. Not a chance. I often wonder if I'd happened upon fatherhood at 28 while I was drinking, would that have been a catalyst to stop?
You don't know.
Who knows? Never will. I'm not even going to guess. But I know if I were still drinking, I wouldn't be the dad that I am. I mean, I'm not like dad of the year. Like, I still get angry over fucking toys and shit. But I'm a bit of a clean freak, just for clarification. I'm not dad of the year, but I do my best, and that's all I can do. But I wouldn't have been doing myself justice if I was drinking.
No.
And it would have been mental turmoil, like knowing that I need to quit. And there's loads of dads that are reaching out to me on Instagram, privately message me, going, "Oh, your account is so honest, and I relate to it a lot. And I've been sober for 6 weeks, and just the weekends are great because I'm not cheating my kid out of my time and my love and whatnot." So yeah, I don't know. I'd have probably been a crap dad, really.
Yeah, but obviously,
But I'm quite a loving person, and I like to think I could have sorted my shit out for a child, but who knows, man.
you never know, I guess.
Nah, never. But yeah, being a dad's ace. It's hard work, but tired.
What are you doing nowadays with all of your additional time that you found? Or it sounds like you're cramming so much and you ain't got any time left.
I don't really have any time now, to be honest. My days look like get up, go to work, and if I'm not, because I work weekends and evenings as well and do overnights and stuff. I work with autistic adults, so I've got kind of a random timetable. You know, it's not like 9 to 5. So if I'm not working, I'm up, kid stuff, get them out the door. My partner does a lot more of that than I do because she works from home. But and then if I'm off, I'm just sober and sound. Sober stretch. It's all I'm thinking about. You know, just want to get as much content out there as possible. I want to reply to every message. I want to reply to every comment. I don't know if you feel like that.
Yeah, you get a
that
bit ingrained.
Drives me mad. It sends me insane. I was like, oh, someone commented on the YouTube video about 6 days ago and I've not replied to it. And I just start tripping out about it. And I'm finding that part of it hard because I want to give everyone, you know,
equal attention, I guess.
Yeah. And then I live about 90-second walk from the beach, so dog for a walk, just a bit to unwind. But really, kids, work, sober and sound, and that's all I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I've never been happier.
Yeah.
I think I'm more fulfilled doing this and having no free time and being strung out and knackered. We've just moved house. I'm the last 6 weeks, I would say, I'm running on empty. But we've moved to a bigger house nearer the beach. You know, like on paper, things are looking good.
The things you need.
Yeah. Just, you know, like literally walk to the beach in seconds. And that's just very cleansing and it's good for the mind. But yeah, no free time. And I don't care. Because when I've got free time, I'm sitting around twiddling my thumbs thinking, I should be doing something with my time.
Yeah.
But finally, something has stuck. I knew and have for years wanted to have a project online that could make a difference. And it's actually happening.
Yeah. Do you finding that, you know, like with the time of being guilty though, are you struggling to switch off from all that stuff? Because I think when you find something you're genuinely passionate about and your purpose, you don't want to switch off either. But are you finding it hard to switch off?
I don't honestly think I'm the type of person my brain never switches off, so I'm kind of used to that all the time. And you know how everyone's got ADHD now?
Yeah.
I think I have.
Right, yeah.
And I don't say that flippantly by any stretch of the imagination. I really have gone back over a lot of my behaviors when I was younger. My partner is convinced of it now. You know, I do. If there's a list of 150 things that people with ADHD do, I do 140 of them every day. So I start to wonder, did that trigger all of my obsessive
addictions?
I've not just been addicted to alcohol. You know, like gambling, sex.
Yeah.
In my 20s, cigarettes, weed, you name it. If it's addictive and it gives you a dopamine rush, I'm all in, man.
It's easy. Yeah.
So I'm kind of comfortable with my brain just whirring away all the time, and I think that's really difficult for a lot of people. A lot of people that doesn't sit well with them. And I think though, telling myself in the early days of getting sober, you are not going to drink no matter what you do, has kind of just given me the ability now to go with the flow no matter how mashed my brain is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, it's just so if you put your mind to something.
Yeah, my brain's never going to be chill.
No.
So, like, just enjoy it.
Just go with the flow.
Just use it in a way that try and make your thoughts a bit more efficient to get the best output possible. But like, I'm a thinker, I'm a ruminator, I'm a worrier, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
okay, what can I do?
Yeah, I think it's a mad journey, isn't it, that you've been on, obviously. And I think you
yeah.
Do you still feel like you're on a journey with your sobriety?
No,
not at all.
Not at all. No, not really. No, I'm just on a life journey now that I should have started in my 20s. You know, don't feel in any way connected to a sobriety journey.
Yeah,
I'm connected to other people's now.
Yeah, is that what how does that feel? It's obviously connecting to other people's journeys and have you found through speaking to different people that there is so many differences in people's journeys, but there is one constant, or what's the sort of connection that you're finding between your journey and other people's, or just generally?
That quitting drinking's really hard.
Yeah.
You know, that's the common denominator. So I've got a Monday night AA meeting, more or less. It's not an AA meeting. There's no steps to it, but it's just like a safe place where people can come. So I've got an Instagram chat group with about 45, 50 people in it that I set up early on into Sober and Sound. And a number of those people attend a Monday night Zoom call every night, 8 o'clock Monday every week. And I'm tight with those people now. You know, and the group operates without me. You know, I sent a message going, "Yo guys, I'm moving house. I might be a bit like low key for the next couple of weeks." 60 messages every day, ticking along without me, and I'm like, "Well, I've facilitated that."
Yeah, but you don't need to be there anymore.
And I don't even need to be there because everyone's like rooting for each other, and it's just the same. People find it hard to initially stop, and people find it hard to believe they can keep at it.
Yeah.
But another day ticks on, another day, and there's about 5 or 6 people in there who are on like day 93, and their lives are changing, and I'm like, wow, you know, people. Some guys in there going to AA for years, and like, AA never really worked for me, but this is working for me. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Little old me, you know what I mean?
How does that feel though?
It feels fucking amazing.
Yeah, I bet.
It really, really feels great. And that's what I wanted, you know, when I was in the kitchen with my partner going, how can I change people's lives? Here it is.
That's what you've done.
Like, the proof's in the pudding now. People are like sending me messages privately going, your content, your podcast with Craig, your reel that you did 4 days ago has helped me stay sober today.
And you can't buy that really, can you?
No. And to be the person that used to go to Weatherspoons on a Monday after being on it since Thursday and just going to Weatherspoons and sitting in Weatherspoons for 7 hours on my own just to like take the edge off to being like fucking guru, you know, like mad.
Yeah, it's
mad feeling.
It's crazy though, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah.
It's mad. I was gonna go to the toilet quickly, Gary.
Go for it.
Oh. Get my questions out as well. Is there anything else you really want to talk about? Particularly, just thinking of time.
I'm easy, man. I'm just enjoying the going with the flow.
Yeah. Let me just see. One second, mate.
It's weird, though, isn't it? Because you walk down the street chatting, and it's all very natural, and then you got a few lights on you, like, oh god.
That's all right.
I'm bad for swearing. Sorry.
No, there's no swearing on. You can do what you want, basically.
Okay.
So we've got like half hour left. To be fair.
Cool.
Before the next one, but I was thinking because there's some questions I had about maybe advice for people.
Yeah.
Because I guess I want you to be able to get across. What do you want to get across out of this episode? Really, I want you to be able to come away from it feeling like.
I'm not really viewing it like that. I just came here to chat to you.
Yeah.
To be honest, I've mentioned Sober and Sound enough. You know, if you want to grill me on advice for people listening,
Yeah.
you know, go for it, because I've got plenty.
Yeah,
I
cool.
would say, but potentially mention the podcast with Craig. Just 'cause it's so weird the way we got together and how similar we are. But other than that, I'm good, man. Really.
Yeah.
I don't want you to think that I'm not committing to something, but
No, not at all.
perfect
No,
for me.
it's cool.
It's your podcast, mate.
No. I just didn't. Obviously, I had a set of questions, but I've we kind of gone off on a tangent, haven't we? But I'm just trying to think if there's anything in particular. I guess we kind of spoke about like your light bulb moment when your penny dropped already, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
Really. But yeah, I guess so. For people that are listening, what would be your advice for somebody who wants to sort of cut down or get rid of alcohol entirely from their life?
Well, for a start, cutting down. If you've got a problem, cutting down ain't going to work.
No, of course not.
Moderation's bollocks. You're either an alcoholic or you're not. And if you can have 2 glasses of wine, lucky you.
Yeah.
But if I could go back to a 27-year-old me, when I would say I was peak alcoholic. Here are the things that I should have done and I wish I had done back then to like claw back 5 years of my life. I would have gone for the jugular. I would have done the one thing that scared the shit out of me the most, and I'd have told the person that loved me the most that I had a problem. I'd have shared it immediately, and I just told my mum.
Yeah.
You know, there is no. If the person that you're the person you're most frightened of telling is someone you love, the chances are they're going to love you back. No.
Yeah.
So once you've got that off your chest, because I think most people with addictions hold a lot of stuff in and hide and weasel their way through life. So I would get it off your chest in the form of telling a loved one, go into AA. We'll talk about AA because you said you wanted to. AA is just a soundboard.
Yeah.
Really. AA is just an opportunity to go. I mean, it is like the movies. Hello, my name's Gary and I'm an alcoholic. You know, it's exactly like that. Mine was in a chapel in the middle, in the churchyard in Spain. It was mad. I would go to AA. I would join an online group, like a weekly meeting, just to get it off your chest to start with, because you're holding all that in. Are you going to pop eventually?
Yeah.
So I would like pop the balloon as fast as you can, because it's never as bad as you think. Your parents or your partner, whoever the person may be, they're not going to banish you because something's got out of control and you've got a problem.
They're probably going to be more relieved that you're actually talking about it.
And they've probably been sat for months, years thinking, God, what's going on with this one? You know, my mum must have been worried sick about me. So I'd go straight for it, tell people, get it off your chest. I'm telling you, it's not as woo-woo as it was 10 years ago or perceived that way. I'd get meditating.
Yeah. What have you noticed from meditation? Obviously, you touched on it earlier, which I think's very true. You're a bloke from Manchester, comes from Scottish descent.
Well, Cheshire, posh part. Not even in Manchester, but I identify greatly with Manchester. A lot of my mates be like, you're not a mate.
Yeah, they say no chance. But obviously you got that preconception, haven't you, as a bloke, that meditation is not for me. That's sort of something I originally thought anyway. And I thought, how's sitting in a room, fucking closing my eyes and humming, which I realise now isn't meditation. You don't, hum. You can do whatever you want.
To meditate, whatever suits you. But mine was just, I had to start off with guided meditation. But if you are too hard and cool to sit in a room and actually challenge yourself to look at your thoughts, like you've got a major problem. Meditation just slows everything down. It allows you to take a look at yourself. It allows you to make better decisions through the day. It's just all about regulation. And when you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, there's no regulation going on whatsoever. And I just think meditation takes the sting out of that. And if you're going to go one day at a time, you need to start the day in the right way. You need to set the tone for the rest of the day. Because one day at a time it's a helter-skelter.
Yeah.
It really is, isn't it? You can't really have everything perfectly planned at the beginning because you don't know how it's going to roll. But meditation it's like a pause on the madness.
Yeah.
And it's like anything. You don't pick up a guitar and you fucking, Jimi Hendrix, do you? You have to work at it. You have to work at creating reels. Your first reel's not going to go viral. it's as simple as that. It's repetition, practice, and again, you're committing every morning to a difficult thing. Because people, the cold shower or the cold plunge, that's hard and it's not fun. But once you've got that difficult challenge out of the way first thing, great, you set yourself up. Meditating's hard if you've never done it before.
Yeah.
Sitting quietly and thinking about shit. A lot of people can't do that.
Not many people can sit in a room.
No.
With their
if you want to
thoughts.
get sober, you need to look at yourself. You need to take a big, long, hard look in the mirror, and meditation will open that door for you, I think. What else did I do? They're all really simple things. People think getting sober is impossible, but if you do all these little simple things, it all adds up to something wonderful. Gratitude. Mate, just write 3 things down that you're grateful for, because you never think about it, do you? You might love your mum, but
it's life-changing though, isn't it?
It is.
I think the other thing with that as well is people think about, when they think of gratitude, they think it has to be some profound thing you're grateful for. But it can be something as simple as just grateful for waking up.
Yeah.
Grateful for that I've got running tap water in my house which I can drink.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I've got shoes on my feet. There's
and that's how you need to start, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you are highly likely, if you've got a drink problem, you're an ungrateful bastard because you're just so wrapped up in yourself. Yeah. The gratitude thing is unbelievable, and that marries beautifully with meditation and all these affirmations. Talk to yourself positively, because you've been beating yourself up for years, haven't you? Telling yourself that you're a scumbag or a dirtbag.
You believe it, though, then, don't you?
Of course you start to believe it. If your whole life revolves around looking for the next drink and cheating your mates so you can eke it out and have another 4 days until you have to give them that 30 quid back, you're just not a good person.
No.
And meditating in your early sobriety sets the tone, and it helps you become a better person. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I agree massively. And I think it's like taking away your ego, isn't it? Which we touched on AA a little bit as well. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big part of everyone I've spoke to. I've never experienced it, but everyone I've spoke to who's been to AA says that, the first thing they do is tell you, like, leave your fucking ego at the door.
Mm-hmm.
Go make the teas.
Yeah. You should really leave your ego at every door, really. What else? Nature for me was massive, because I spent every weekend in a pub.
You didn't realise it was outside.
Yeah, honest to God. I mean, obviously I'm not stupid, but nature was free. It's free medicine, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as old as time again. It's obvious stuff, but if you combine them all, you're kind of building an armor against the external forces that try and make you drink again. Meditating, gratitude, affirmations, get walking, get moving, all it's just simple stuff.
Yeah, I think the nature thing as well is free. All this stuff's free as well. That's the other thing, people are, I haven't got time or I haven't got the money to do it. Well, why don't you walk to work instead of driving or getting a train? Yeah. Things like that. Just, I find as well, if I've had a stressful day, going out in nature for long enough without any sort of, we're sitting in a fucking room full of technical stuff here, but without your phone, cameras, screens, all that sort of thing will give you, again, that mental clarity.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it might sound silly to sober people. Why are you giving such simple advice? But when you're drinking, these things are not on the table as options, are they?
No.
How can I get sober? Oh, why don't you meditate with the Calm app and tell yourself you're beautiful every morning and go for a walk and you'll be able to stay sober? You're like, fuck off, mate. But that's actually how it works for me.
They're the pillars of, like, they're creating that, like you said, you're building an armor around yourself, aren't you?
Yeah.
And they're things that you use on the time that you feel like you want to drink. Start building a habit to go for a walk instead, because then that becomes habitual. Whereas drinking is habitual, isn't it?
Yeah. Like the muscle memory. So flexing your sober muscle. There's a lady in our Instagram group, and she's always talking about flexing your sober muscle.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, and I never thought of it like that before, but when she mentioned it, I realised just how much I was flexing mine at the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm flexing my sober muscle by not going out tonight.
Yeah.
Not going out, so I'm not tempted. Simple. It's easy stuff, isn't it, really? I just think if you've got your head up your arse and you're just drenched in booze, you don't believe that something so simple could have such a profound effect on your future.
Yeah, I think you're right. Everyone tries to complicate it, and also try to. You mentioned like 4 or 5 things there. Try to do 4 or 5 things all at once as well. But like you said, they all work. They all fall into each other. So
Of course they do. Yeah.
you start by doing a bit of meditation.
Yeah, they're all intrinsically linked, man. It's
and
all
then
like
you
Buddhist Zen shit, isn't it? Like, okay, and then it gets a bit more complicated because then you have to start. You may have gotten through the first 5 rounds of sobriety, like avoiding the punches, and you're somehow still sober, and then like, oh, I could actually have a more fulfilling life. I could actually achieve things. And then that's when I think you need to start making a plan. I say on Instagram, you need 4 things to get sober: a desire to stop drinking, support, a plan, and a pair of bollocks.
Yeah, 100%.
That's all you need.
Yeah,
that's all you need. It doesn't matter if you go to AA or you join a group online or you whatever.
I think the plan part as well is like, you spoke about your podcast and how that all sort of come together as well. But I mean, that some things formulate from connections that you make, and then the plan comes off the back of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you find something that you think, fucking hell, I really enjoy this. Let me try and make this actually into a feasible career or a feasible life. But how did you meet so Craig, you do your podcast with, didn't you? So how did that all come around?
I was sat on the sofa about, I don't know, 8 weeks ago, and I just got a message from a bloke. And by then I was starting to get messages every day.
Yeah.
And there was another one, and the first line was, "All right, mate, I fucking love your account. You're not a fraud like half of the rest of them." I thought, oh, who's this fella? And I looked at his account. His account was Live Without Limits _coaching. Little plug for him. And I looked at his account. He's about your age, a little bit older than you. And I swear to God, I saw my own life unfold in some of his reels. Because obviously you guys you had your full 20s with Instagram and all your mates taking videos of each other. I didn't have that. Most of my drinking days were unseen, luckily.
Yeah.
But he had so many videos of himself on the piss and out and about with mates, and he was using those comparison reels of fat prick, incredibly healthy sober guy. And I just looked at his account and I was like, wow, this guy is me. And I mean, it freaked me out for 3 days. And I'd go to bed and I'd say to my partner, I'm like, Gab, it's just stuck in my head how similar. I'd never met anyone and we just started chatting. And I was like, mate, do you want to do an Instagram live? Because I'd never done one before and I was still finding my feet on Instagram. I mean, I've had Instagram for 10 years, but I've never really played around with it like on this level. And I was like, do you want to do an Instagram live? Because you are the perfect person to dip my toe into this kind of thing with. He was like, yeah, sound. And we did one. And we were both as honest as the day is long. We've both got that quality about us, I think. And he told me that 4 or 5 of his mates were like, yo, you two should do a podcast. You've just got like that chemistry. A few of my mates told me the same. I walked into the kitchen after I'd done the live with him. And Gabby was like, that was golden. You two should like do something. So we did.
Yeah.
We just like went for it. And within about a fortnight, we had the first episode out. So yeah, random. Never met him. Talk every day like bros now, like morning mate.
That's another beautiful thing about getting sober is you build those connections with people.
Yeah.
And it's quite instant, isn't it? Like you can tell within the first 5 minutes, I'm either going to get on with this guy, I know what he's about or not. Whereas before you had drugs and alcohol to numb all of the bullshit and all of the shit chat. And you'd
Mask
be like,
it.
you'd be like, well, I can stay up for days and ends with this guy because he's got loads of drugs.
Yeah, bravado.
Yeah. So what's the podcast about? What can you expect if people are listening to it?
The podcast is called The Sober Stretch because I think we both felt like we'd been in prison for a long time, like an emotional and mental prison for a long time with the booze, and our drinking lives were so identical. And when I think even it was my missus that came up with the name, and we were like, yes, that's the name. And it's just basically us picking a topic related to alcoholism or sobriety, and for an hour every week going full throttle honesty about how pitiful and pathetic we were, how fucked our lives were, and how glorious sobriety is. But without all the frills and all that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It's just two recovered lads telling it like it is. And it's getting, I mean, privately, the messages we're receiving are really encouraging, you know, like people come. I think we're appealing to the sesh heads.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I don't, Sober and Sound, my personal one, is appealing to a wide scale, a wide range of people, which has surprised me. I thought it'd appeal more to sesh heads, because I'm like, you know, football loving, rock and roll loving, swear a lot, that kind of dude. But you know, the analytics on Instagram, I'm like, wow, 63% of my followers are women.
You wouldn't think it, would you?
Really surprised. But when I look at the sober stretch, it's more lads that football, drinking, music, gig going, dads now, still drinking, thinking, fuck. And they're like, oh, I relate to these two. Do you know what I mean?
It makes you realise. I think that's the thing, isn't it? You have to see someone living out something that you don't think is possible.
Yeah.
That you relate to. Like,
of course, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Relatability. And I think people look at us and go, oh, wow, these two were absolute piss artists and have turned their lives around. And the good thing is, he's 2 years nearly sober and I'm 10.
Yes,
I'm older. I'm a dad. I got sober through kind of mental fortitude, being in another country, being all alone, didn't do anything physical. He did it at home. He drank the AF beers at the start. I never did any of that. So like our journeys are our sobriety journeys totally different, but our boozing days identical.
Yeah,
so it works, I think.
So where can you find your podcast?
It's called At the Sober Stretch. We're on Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube.
Nice.
And the episodes are out every Sunday at 7 p.m. And that was on purpose.
Is that from experience of being on the session on a Sunday?
Needing something soothing on a Sunday night that wasn't like a curry and 5 hours on Betfair, you know? Which was my bag. I used to out Thursday night, Friday night, all day Saturday, most of the day Sunday, and then at some point after the Premier League second match had finished, head home.
Yeah.
For like takeaway, self-loathing, and
that's
if anyone's got any weed, just a joint to take the edge off, you know, that kind of stuff. And we thought Sunday at 7 p.m. is when people need us.
Yeah, it's a good time, isn't it?
Yeah, like I know a lot of podcasts come out on a Monday morning, and that makes sense as well. You know, start the week on a, you know, while you're having your cold plunge.
Yeah. Right, in your gratitude list.
But yeah, for us it was it's like it's a week, it's a post-sesh soothing thing, I think.
Yeah, this is a Thursday purely because Thursdays were the new Friday. Growing up, like worked in London, so I needed something. I thought, right, what am I going to need on a Thursday night to fucking stop me from going out?
Nice.
Yeah. So
you know, you got to think about those things.
Similar thing. So we've actually been talking for well over an hour now. So there's a couple of questions which I ask everyone at the end of all the podcasts. So the first question would be, what is the single best thing that sobriety's brought you? And it can be multiple if it needs to be.
Mental clarity.
Yeah.
Just unraveling all that shit in my head. You know, it was 15 years of just being anxious, stressed, nauseous, hungover, drunk, tipsy, wired, come down, coming up. You know, just 15 years of that to just go to this kind of not flatlining, but just being on a level, not being up and down and peaks and troughs. Just relative tranquility has been the best thing, man. I can walk down the street and not think about anything for 40 minutes. Whereas when I was drinking, I would walk down the street. I've said earlier, my brains are in place, but you know what I mean? Like before then, it was just, I need to pay that payday loan company, but then that's going to mean I need to hold on if I can pay that off. And then, shit, I've got to go back to my parents at the weekend and they're going to know and I won't be able to drink as much. You know, just like internal chat for a decade and a half to like, mental clarity. And I think that's what people are searching for. It's not like I'm not happy. You know, like I'm not like, oh yeah, everything's amazing. Life's tough, man. You know, cost of living crisis, post-COVID, two kids. Life is hard. You know, partner and I work full time, rushing around like nutters. I'm stressed, but I'm content.
Yeah.
You know, I'm content with the peace that sobriety has brought me. peace, man. It's just it's all about peace.
That's the difference, isn't it?
Have you found that? Are you in that phase yet?
I am. Yeah, I've got like mental clarity that I've never had before.
Yeah.
When I first started, on the sobriety journey, but now it's like, it can be utter chaos going on around me, but I always sort of ground myself back to the fact that I'm sober, I'm alive, and I've got a loving family and friends. So what is there to really worry about?
I look at you and Craig and other people in the sober men, particularly in the sober realm on Instagram and wherever else. I'm not into TikTok yet, but I will be at some point.
I hope TikTok's ready. I hope TikTok's ready for you.
I hope so. I've got the account. I've got the @ I think I put 2 videos on there. I should really take some time to work out how it works. But I look at you guys and I think I'm really pleased for you because you're piecing your life together quite young.
Yeah,
Like comparatively, I felt like an old time drinker when I was really young. I've said this before. I'd go drink. I'd go to the pubs on my own. 18, 19.
Which for me,
newspaper.
That's mad. That's so funny you say that because I always saw that as an old man thing to do. Do you know what I mean? Like I'd be, I don't actually think I'd drink on my own. I don't think I'd go to a pub on my own with a newspaper. It would be like I'd go to my pub on my own after being out with loads of people. But then I was going to a pub that was busy with loads of random cunts that I've just met, and I was off my nuts. So I talked to them. It's a different.
I wasn't like that. I liked the old man pub.
Yeah.
Where I could just go and hide. Young though, I mean.
He's young to do that.
Yeah, very. I mean, it was very rare. I used to think, what do people think of me in here? And I just sit and read the paper and watch Sky Sports News and drink 8 pints.
Yeah.
Like
it reminds me of my dad's generation.
Totally. But my dad was my drinking partner for a long time, and it's not his fault I'm a drinker. It was always on the cards for me. It was going to happen regardless. But I loved that. It was glamorous to me going to the pub with my old man, and the smoke and back then obviously you could smoke in the pubs, and I just thought it was intoxicating. So when I got the opportunity to be old enough to go and do it myself, go on then.
Yeah, pub culture is quite weird for blokes. It's quite attractive in a way. I remember. Obviously, I've worked in construction. I've worked in construction my whole life, and the only role models I had within that industry were fat, overweight men doing gear, telling me that they should, don't ever get married.
You're on a hiding to nothing, aren't you?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, and then you look up to them, and they're also probably earning all right money and driving around in an okay car and got a house. So you think, oh, that's the aspiration.
Yeah.
And if I can just earn enough money to be able to afford to go to the pub on the weekend, I've made it.
When I came here today, I got off at Clapham Junction, and because of the rugby, I couldn't get the train. I said to you earlier, I could have waited for a train to get here. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to walk. And I walked past near Putney Bridge, and I walked past my old office. And I worked at a place when I was 27. And I remember what my life was like then, and it was a bit of a flashback as I walked past near the river. And I remember looking up to all those people, all those MDs and CEOs and CFOs, and thinking, wow, you've made it. You've got an expensive car. You probably make 80 grand a year, 90 grand, which, back then was, good wage. But they were all alcoholics.
Yeah.
Really, they were all like problem drinkers who used to get in shit with their wives because they go out on a Thursday and they didn't get home. And I look at it now and I think, wow, I got out.
Yeah.
I got lucky that I didn't get to 48, and because you'll find you'll look back on this period of your life as the epiphany.
Yeah, no, I even
where
do
you
now.
Escaped not the rat race, but and everything that goes with it.
I do now though, because someone asked me that question before, and I said the reason I stopped at this age was because I could see the trajectory that I was on, and like it wasn't great what I was doing, but could have been a lot worse. I mean, I got sacked. I was doing gear a lot of the time.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad. But I would have recovered. Say I was still drinking and doing drugs, I would have got another job, and I probably could have done it for another 20 years. But then it was like, fuck. By that point, is it worth losing all that stuff that you've spent the next 20 years building. And I think you're right. But I think I will look back at this period of time and think, fucking hell, thank God.
Well, also, you probably look back and go, do you know what? Thank God I caned it so hard that I needed to stop. Because then at 30, 29, 30, you had that moment to take stock and go, all right, I'll let it get out of control here. What do I want for the rest of my life? A lot of people don't get that. They get married at 27, they have a kid at 30, and then they're 38, and they've got a mortgage and a partner. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but my students in Spain used to say to me, do you think you'll have a midlife crisis, Gary? Like, I've done the inner work.
Yeah.
I've done the inner work, not a chance.
No, yeah.
Not a chance. I rinsed my life so hard that I needed to analyse it and cut out all the bad stuff just to stay alive, really. So there's no midlife crisis coming my way because I know who I am now. I know what I am. And being an alcoholic initiated that.
I feel like I'm having a midlife crisis, but like I'm 2 years old. Yeah, I mean, it's weird, but in a good way, because I'm now questioning all the stuff that I would probably question in 40 years.
Good. That's exactly what I mean. Yeah. So you've done all this period. You're doing it right now as we speak. You're doing it through this podcast. You're doing it through talking to people like me. You're doing it through your expression of yourself through Instagram. And this is you trying to work out what you want.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's a lucky place to be, actually.
It is, mate. Because like loads of people just drift through life and they get to a point when they're 52 and go. I remember sitting on the throne at my parents' house once. It was a Sunday morning. I was reading The Observer. It was the supplements.
Yeah.
And every week they had an aging celebrity say, and the title was "What I Know," and it was Eamon Holmes.
Oh right, yeah.
Horrible little. And he said, "I wish I had chased more women, done more shagging, drinking, and drug taking in my 20s." And I was sober at this time when I was reading this, back at my parents' house visiting from Spain. And I remember reading it thinking, I'm never going to have that worry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got it out.
I got it out of my system, and I had 1,000,001 riots drinking. I had loads of fun. It was like we said earlier, it was the in-between periods where my drinking was a problem, the turmoil it was creating in my life and the misery it was creating and the way it was affecting my relationships. But at the peak moment of the night when you've had 8 pints and 2 lines, it's amazing.
Yeah.
That's why people do it.
This never stays there, does it?
Of course, well, it can't. It's not sustainable, is it? And, if you're one of those people that can just get smashed on a Friday night and feel right as rain on a Saturday, you crack on, you do that, whatever. No judgment here. But if it's getting out of control, it's got to stop.
Yeah, now's the time.
And if you don't, you'll be 53 waking up like trying to buy a sports car and, subscribing to some OnlyFans lads, while your wife's in bed. So yeah, we got lucky, man.
I think. Definitely. I think that's so true. I think the best time to start is now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone says that it's never too late to start either. You speak to people, like I said, I'm quite lucky in a sense that I've done it at this age, but then you speak to other people who, do it when they're a little bit older or even younger, and I think there is no wrong or right time. It's just fucking
when you decide it's time.
When you decide it's time.
It's like the Euros are coming up now. There'll be loads of lads going, "Oh, I don't want to drink all summer," but it's the Euros.
Yeah.
But the reality is, what will happen is if you carry on drinking, you're going to drink heavily when England are playing, and you're going to miss or be too pissed to remember. You're going to be in a pub and you're going to be talking to your mate. You'll be nipping to the loo for a bit of nose candy, and then you'll miss the goal.
Yeah.
Or because we live in England, it'll kick off outside the pub after the game, and someone will break your nose. Is that why you wanted to drink during the tournament?
No, exactly.
Imagine England win it and you don't remember it. You're smashed out of your mind.
Well,
come on. There's never.
Well, the other
time is now.
There's never. Also, I used to say that for 2 years before I got sober. I used to say, I'm going to take a break, but not this month because it's my mum's birthday, which is January.
Mm-hmm.
Then February was my sister's birthday. March was my birthday. April I had a holiday. Yeah. There's always a reason not to drink.
Yeah, and in June, if you're lucky, the sun might come out.
Yeah.
Well, September. Well, September's when unis and schools go back, so that'd be a good time to quit. It's like,
you're finding excuses, aren't you?
It's all about excuses. The podcast that Craig and I did this morning was all about excuses, and I think it's a bit unsettling the way we talk about it. It's like, stop.
Yeah, sort it out.
Bullshitting yourself. Stop lying to yourself.
Yeah, you got to get real with yourself.
Of course, man. So it's, yeah, the time is now. The time is today. If you're listening to this podcast now in the future time, quit now.
Yeah.
Quit.
You won't regret it either.
Quit.
Quit now.
It'll be the best decision you ever made. I really believe that.
And the final question I had is, what would be the one piece of advice that you'd give to somebody on the beginning of their sobriety journey that you wish you received, or maybe you did receive at the beginning of yours?
Stick with it, baby.
Yeah.
I've got a few lines that I churn out regularly on Sober and Sound. One of them is get to midnight and go again. It's as simple as that. The one day at a time thing at the beginning, I found it so hard to deal with a one day at a time. I was like, I can't drink in 6 years. I'm not going to be allowed to drink.
Yeah.
I was trying to rationalize it, going, I could never drink again. But what about when I go on holiday? Want to be able to enjoy cold beer on the first day of the holiday? All that bollocks. Get to midnight.
That's all you got to do.
All you got to do. Just one day at a time. It's as old as time, but maybe I could think of other things off. But right now, off the top of my head, is grin and bear it, because it will get better. No, it gets better, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
of course it does.
And
what's like, choose your hard, man. Like, do you want to have a shit existence, feeling depressed and unregulated emotionally for the next 3 years, or do you want to go through some turmoil and torture, getting sober and staying sober, and then it's better? It's like basic maths, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's hard being sober, but it's harder being constantly fucked up, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. I think I know people. I'm scared of being sober.
Yeah.
Are you not scared of always being an
If
alcoholic?
you're not, yeah.
I mean, do you class yourself as an alcoholic?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
And do you see? I did, and I was, and I know I was, but I'm not now.
Yeah. See, I'm still at a stage of, because I'm still going through that, right? And I think I still, I kind of helped me weirdly to identify as an alcoholic in a weird way, because it's my way of saying I know I can't drink because I'm an alcoholic, so I'm using it as a way to be like, that's, But I think you're not always an alcoholic. I think you can. People say you can't be cured. You can be cured. It's an illness. There's this debate, but you can reinvent yourself.
Yeah, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. You need the alcoholic moniker hanging over you for a certain amount of time to keep you, on the right line.
Yeah.
No, you can't. You're an alcoholic. You can't. You're an alcoholic. But I don't resonate with that. The idea of being an alcoholic now.
No.
3,600 odd days of not having a drink. I'm not an alcoholic.
Nah.
If I'd been obese in 2014 and lost 12 stone, I'm not going to go around, hi, I'm Gary, I'm a fat prick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a thing, isn't it? It's letting go of that. Weirdly, you asked the question, it's almost like a kind of a part of my identity at the moment, which is maybe unhealthy, but it's what's helping me cope with not wanting to drink. It's my justification at the moment for not wanting to drink. And one day I will get to the point where it's actually and I know that I actually even know that if I had one, I know I'd go mental, right? Yeah. But I also know that if I actually also, part of me thinks if I had one, I would be like, this is fucking shit.
Once I got sober, I never had a relapse.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced that I would get smashed if I had one. But I think the next day I'd think, that was gross.
Yeah,
I don't think I'd do it again. I don't know, it's hard to tell. But
it's like smoking, isn't it? But I mean, if you've ever given up smoking and then you have a fag for the first time in ages, that first drag, you're like, oh, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, this is
and
why I quit. Yeah.
And I think that's what I would go through, but I'm not willing to take the chance.
No, definitely not. Don't take the chance. One thing about advice, I've just remembered something that I'd like to say, maybe to finish off. If you're getting sober now and you're younger, or however old you are, but age isn't a thing, I think, when you first getting sober, because you become like childlike at the beginning, because you're just like, oh, and a bit scared. But there's a lady in my Instagram chat group whose advice is brilliant, always. She's very wise. And she says, lean into it. Like, don't fight it. Just like succumb and just go, okay, this is it. This is me getting sober now.
Yeah,
just fall into it. Don't overthink it. Just don't drink for the next 60 seconds and the next 60 seconds, and just accept it. It's going to be okay.
That is the best piece of advice, I think. I didn't lean into my sobriety or not drinking or whatever you want to call it for a while, and it was a lot harder. And the minute I leaned into it and embraced it,
Yeah,
I enjoy it. No, I actually enjoy it. I love.
Do you enjoy it? Do you? I know what you're like, because I'm guessing, but look where we are and what you're doing. You know what I mean? What you're trying to create. You are. You've accepted. You're in that acceptance period. You know, prolonged period of acceptance. No.
Yeah, I am. I'm accepted that it's a part of me, and I need to embrace it. And my way of embracing it might be a bit, in addict fashion, a bit over the top, because I've got fucking 3 cameras,
Mate,
2 microphones,
comfy,
and I'm posting about it and talking about it constantly. But that's my way of accepting it.
It doesn't matter. Like,
yeah.
If people have to listen to it, it's better than listening to you go. Oh, fucking
it's better than listening to me going, I'm gonna not drink again, and drinking.
Oh yeah,
it's better than fucking letting people down constantly.
Yeah, fuck that. It's lean into it.
Yeah, no, perfect. Thank you, Gary, for that, and
Pleasure.
Thank you for coming on, and thank you for taking the time.
No worries, mate.
And hopefully you don't get swept up in the rugby chaos on my own.
Well, I've worked out that my train back will be just as it's kicking off.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
I'm not into the old rugby crew. It's not my vibe. But yeah.
Thank you, mate.